Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be making this dubstep snare. Sounds a lot like something Koan would use or Skrillex. This is my second tutorial on it, simplifying the technique. It's going to sound something like this. Okay, I just threw that together real fast just so you can hear it in context with some music. I'm going to show you how I went ahead to make this snare. I also completely restructured how I did it and simplified it. What I'm doing is I'm using a rack now and basically creating racks inside of racks and putting the compressors, the parallel compression and everything all inside of the rack. You can save it like this as one huge rack. It's much easier. You can put all your plugins in here, and what I'm also doing is only using live plugins, and at the end of the tutorial you can download this session file minus my little music that I started. Can't give away those secrets yet. If you're not using live, I'm also going to bounce down all these samples and you can get them for free. All you have to do is go to my Facebook link, click on there, and it'll be self-explanatory from there. Let's get started and show you how these racks work. First, you create a MIDI track, Shift Apple T. Then you're going to go up here and it's going to be under Instruments. Under Instruments, we're going to go to Simpler. Drag that right in. Now, what you can do here is, let's say you wanted to drag in a 909 sample or any sample, you would drag it in, and to create a rack, you would hit Apple G. Now, see this yellow highlighting around the rack? If you click one up right here, it'll put this inside the instrument rack and you can see it. And all you have to do now is you can double your samples. You can make another one and let's say put a different sample in there. And then it'll actually rename it to whatever the file is. So that's how you create a rack though, just Option drag. Okay, so what I did is I put all the samples that I used in my first tutorial in here, and I added the plugins all in one rack. It's all consolidated to one simple system. Here's the first sample right here. Okay, now when you double click here, you'll be able to open up everything in the rack. Transpose this up by 7 degrees. This would normally sound like this. Okay, let me explain a little bit about the racks. Basically how this is set up is you have the sample and you can put a plugin directly on that sample. Now you can also put plugins on the whole rack. That's what this is. I have an EQ8, a multiband, and a limiter. So that's affecting every single sample inside this rack. But the individual samples, for instance, I doubled that tom. Let's solo it. I doubled that tom and I'm doing what is called parallel compression on it. Now, if I click right here to the tom and I go across, we will see that there is a compressor on here. So I did an EQ and a compressor on this one. Right here I boosted like around 209 Hertz, and this will all be included in the live set. But basically I'm just really squashing this. Blending that back in is the key to get all these ratios right, just like in the first tutorial, but now we're inside of the rack. So that combined with the tom sample not compressed at all would sound like this. I added some other samples here, not the 909. Same thing, I added the 909 just regular. And then I put some parallel compression on it, blending them together. And at the end here, I put in a clap. That's compressed. This isn't. Let's say I wanted to put another plugin just on this clap right here where it's soloed. I can select a plugin, let's say a utility, and all I'd have to do is drag this right into here. Now when I double click this, it's going to show me that plugin now. So on that track I have the simpler and the utility. Now like I said, you can also put plugins that will affect every single sample at once inside of the rack. So what I did is I put an EQ8, boosting and cutting a little bit, a multiband. This was kind of complicated how I got this all to work, but like I said, I will be giving you this session so you can go through here and tear this apart. And the last thing on my chain is the limiter. So after I did all these different EQing and parallel compressions and put all these different samples together, I got this. Okay, now what I did is I took this whole rack and hit Apple D, then I selected it and went to freeze track. Then I went to flatten. Now that took it out of the rack, and all I have is the audio left over. Just a fast way to bounce it down. My last step is I took that sample, I made another simpler, Shift Apple T, went to instruments, dragged in a simpler, and what I did was I dragged in that sample, I put a different compressor on it, a limiter that's affecting both of them, I doubled the sample, and I did some extreme parallel compression on that to give me the final end result of this. Just a little bit tighter and stronger, and that's my final sample, and all I'd have to do is, once again, double that, hit freeze and flatten, and then I would have the sample right there. Thanks guys, hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you understand everything. If you have any questions, please ask, and please show me some support. Go to my Facebook, link below. You can get everything here, all these samples for free, and stay tuned for more music.